Yeah, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Hi, Sonak.
Hi, Supratim.
So, okay, Sonak, so it's good to start, or what do you think?
Yes. We are good to go. I have started
Okay,
the recording. Yeah.
fine. Then let me quickly pull out my deck. Okay. So, guys, before jumping to today's session, is my voice loud and clear to all of you, and my screen is visible? Can I get a quick confirmation? Perf- Perfect. Great. Thank you. So, yeah, welcome to week number 5 of our associate cloud engineering journey. As menu is not available today, I am somehow replacing menu for today only for this fifth session. We will continue with the last session, right? So just in between, I just take care of your fifth week session. Now, before going to today's agenda, any queries, any question, anything you want to ask, any uh, doubt, any topic that you need some sort of clarification, or we are simply good till now? What do you think? And by the way, how is your labs going on? Okay, great, Chandan. Hmm. Completed all the labs on get the voucher or already booked for an exam slot. Okay, what's the current status? Still struggling with the labs or what? Hmm. Fine. So guys, maybe yes, in week 5 lab or whatever it is, but definitely we are like reaching towards the last week, maybe the next week, but we should be in the last week of our journey. So try to finish this as early as possible. I know we have time, but at least somehow put your or press the accelerator button a bit more. Okay. Great. So this is our week 5 agenda. We will start with some quiz question. Then I will try to discuss a bit about how Symbol Superstore is thinking in terms of like managing and monitoring their migrated workloads that they are migrating or they already migrated to GCP, right? Then I will like shift the focus on discussing some more data storage service apart from what we have discussed in, I think, week 2 or week 3, like GCS or Cloud SQL. I'll be emphasizing a bit more. I will also discuss some diagnostic question at the end to give you the flavor about what type of question or what is the complexity level of the question we may expect in the exam, right? So this is the whole agenda for today. So let's start with quiz now. Let me quickly share my screen. Yes, here is the first quiz question, starting with the figure flowchart, I would say. So it is about CI/CD pipeline. Now, just to give you all an idea, what a CI/CD pipeline is. It is nothing else but a series of steps, right? So it's a series of steps that automate the process of building, testing, and deploying a software. That's it. So we are dealing with those different series of steps. Now, here the question is, at the very beginning, we have some cloud source repositories, right? So where we, I would say, we store the code. That means if we have a number of developers, they can directly communicate with that particular source repository and they can contribute their code over there. After that, there is a process, something is happening, and then the output of that particular step goes to container registry. Then later on, it flows till GK. So that's the overall steps or process that I have defined over here. Now the question is, what is there in the middle? hmm Okay, Chandan, I'm getting before that. Ilian is asking, I have some question. When is the deadline to finish? Okay, I think Ilian, uh, our course coordinator will help you on that part. Okay, great. So I'm getting some answers. What about others? Are you in the same page that is cloud built or? Mm-hmm. Yes, it is cloud built. That means which option? Yes, this one, last one. We have some cloud source repositories where some collaboration happens, everybody is contributing over there. Then, based on that, cloud builds it, compiles it, and then it goes to container registry. But guys, nowadays it's not only container registry as a single registry that we are defining, right? If I quickly go over the registry, see, we have two different registries, container registry as well as artifact registry, right? So difference is that in container registry, the image is only a Docker image, but nowadays we can use artifact registry where it is not only a Docker image, but we can have different uh, types of images like Maven, MP, Python, all those things, right? So earlier it was container registry where we are dealing with only one format as Docker, but we have now different formats or multiple formats to use it. Okay, so yes, that is the answer. Cloud build should be in between these two container registry and cloud source repository. Perfect. Now to give you a bit more idea on this CI/CD pipeline, let me just add over something on this to give you an entire clear picture about what exactly happens in an end-to-end CI/CD pipeline. Right. So we have the code at the beginning. I just shown you cloud build, then takes the code and put it into the artifact registry. Up to this, it is clear, right? Then what happens? Then we have this vulnerability scanning. Now, what is this? Vulnerability scanning is some sort of soft mechanism, I would say. Here, the version is scanned and you have a report. That report maybe have around, I would say, 5,000 lines written over there in the report. Fine. Now you can say, so what? What I should do with that report? And that is where the next step, that is a binary authorization, comes into the picture. Binary authorization is a somehow technical thing that allows you either to accept an artifact or simply reject it. Meaning it will let you block some, I would say, unsecured objects, specifically in case of GKE and Cloud Run. Right. That means Here, binary authorization acts as a gatekeeper. Okay, so initially the code is built, then it does vulnerability scanning, and before deploying it into the cluster, binary authorization asks, wait, let me check it. If you cleared the vulnerability scanning or not. If you did it without any major loopholes, fine, I will give you the permission and I will take you to the productive cluster. But if I found something wrong, then that should be treated as untrusted, and definitely it will be written in the audit log, and it will not be technically deployed to the productive cluster. Then the developer, the team, those who are developing those code, they will come to you and ask, where is my code? I'm not finding that thing in my productive cluster. Then you can say, because of this and that, your image is not there. Then they need to go back to their seat. They need to go back to fix those problems, those issues. Maybe they need to add some newer version. Maybe they need to add some more libraries. And again, they need to start the process once again from the beginning, right? So that's the overall end-to-end pipeline process of CI/CD, definitely at a very high level. But from exam perspective, guys, that is what at max we need to know. Okay. So again, come back to the quiz question that is all about CI/CD pipeline, and specifically for this question, the answer is cloud build. Is it clear, guys? Any question? Any queries? Yes, John. Okay. Right. Moving to the next question then. Another interesting one. Let's see this one. So we have an App Engine application. Fine. That means, let's say we are developing a website in a App Engine. That's well. But at some moment, we need to test some update, but we feel that update is a bit risky. The end user may accept or may not. So maybe we need to roll back the update if required. That's why we want to play safe side. How? We want to just give a small percentage of traffic to this newer version of or to this update rather. Later on, if required, then we can move a bit more traffic there. But that is, yes. Now I got the answer. Yes. So guys, it's very simple thing. It's very easy for App Engine. So if I go to App Engine and let me check if I have any version created for an application. Mhm. Give me a minute, guys. Just the loading. Yes. So it's very easy for App Engine. We have an option called split traffic. Say we have two options, two versions. So I click on split traffic. Now, as I've just done, let's say this is my new version, the second one, and I have updated some risky update on this new version. So what I intended to do, I just maybe shifting 5% or maybe 5 to 6% of the traffic to this newer version, keeping the remaining traffic with the older version. And I'm observing what is the response on these new applications. They're facing some bugs. Is there any issues happening, or they whether they are accepting that thing? If I haven't found any sort of such major loopholes, such major drawbacks, such major issues, I will gradually increase the traffic to the newer version till 100% till the entire traffic moves to this newer version. That means I'm applying a canary update, a canary version change with the help of app engine. Right. So it's very simple. When you are thinking of some sort of risky update in App Engine application, use a new version with this traffic splitting concept, right? But to let you know that it is not so easy when we are thinking of using infrastructure as a service. Like I have some virtual machines and some application is already like deployed in those virtual machines, and then I need to do some sort of changes, some updates. There, this is not definitely updates can be done, but this is not so easy. Like just scrolling or just that moving those that particular bug is not so easy, but definitely there is a process of doing that as well. So, but again, as an associate cloud engineer, you sometimes need to think on this aspect as well when it comes to your organization requirement of some risky update. Okay. Any queries till now? No queries. So silent, guys. Either you all are understanding very well or not able to understand at all. Which one? Okay. Let me uh give some of them, and let's take one easier question for you all so that I can get bigger responses. This one, guys. It should be easy. Mhm. Everyone? What? Perfect. So the basic unit of deployment in Kubernetes is definitely pod. Exactly. Very good. Now, one thing, when you try to expose the application to some endpoints, then you need to use which option among those remaining three? Yes, service. So the deployment unit is definitely Kubernetes, but when we are trying to expose this application to the outside world to some endpoints, we should be using service. And in case of GK, this the load balancers that works as an endpoint. Okay. So in Kubernetes, it is service, but in case of GK, it is the load balance. Okay, great. Next one. Let's take this question. Good. Anand, I would say no. I can't segregate that specific users. I just can able to split the traffic, but those traffic can randomly split different users. I can't specify exact users. Okay. So someone started with C, then We move to D, complicated. No, it's not at all complicated question, guys. See, I'm giving you a clear understanding on this thing. First, we need to create a cluster. That is the question. The command that is used to need to create a Kubernetes cluster. Now, in order to create a cluster, what we need to do? We need to first talk to the GCP infrastructure provider. Like, hey, boss, can you give me a cluster? Can you give me an option to update an existing cluster or a node pool? That means I am communicating with the GCP infrastructure provider. And the command that is used to directly communicate with the GCP infrastructure provider is gcloud, not kubectl. Got it? So in order to create a cluster, I need to communicate with the GCP infrastructure provider. And in order to communicate with the GCP infrastructure provider, I need to use gcloud command. That's sure. Now, there is no such command called gcloud Kubernetes. So definitely the answer should be gcloud container, option C. Is it clear? Where do I get the question take? You'll be getting that thing after the session. I'll be shared this take to Sonak. Sonak will upload that thing in your, I would say, those shared drive. You will get that, right? So it's simple. Okay. So now say we after that, then if you want to talk to the control plane after creating the cluster, if you talk to the control plane, to the master node, to the cluster, uh, with the help of kubectl command. Right. So after creating the cluster, then comes the kubectl command through which you can now communicate with the cluster and say, hey, I have a cluster. See, let me now deploy or let me give you an option to deploy a pod to that cluster. Then I should create maybe a YAML file, push that YAML file with the help of those kubectl command, and then kubectl I will create a pod for you. So it's then the entire steps begins. So if you want to create, if you want to manage, if you want to update a cluster, use gcloud command. That means this gcloud container command. And if you want to do some activities inside the cluster, then you need to use that kubectl command. That is how it works. Okay, is it clear, guys, for all of us? Any doubt? Any queries? No. Perfect. Fine. Then let's quickly move to the next topic. We have lots of things to cover. So, guys, but remember to cover other questions as well. Okay. Now, move to the next segment. That is some discussion regarding a Symbol Superstore. So, guys, Symbol Superstore's cloud solution have been deployed and implemented, right? And here, your role as an associate cloud engineer shifts focus to maintaining some successful operation. Let's explore what that means. Now, to ensure successful operation, an associate cloud engineer needs the knowledge and skills first to manage the resources that is being used by the organization's cloud solution. And definitely, you also need to be able to use GCP, that is Google Cloud Platform's own operation suites for overall monitoring and logging. Okay, now when it comes to managing the resources, the managed instance group definitely will make sure the number of instances like matches what you request and monitor instances, yes, via health checks, right? So if an instance goes down, The manage instance group will start another instance to just replace it, right? And remember one thing, manage instance groups can be zonal as well as regional, which is not there as an option for a simple virtual machine. Virtual machines are always zonal, but these MIGs can be zonal as well as regional, right? And regional instance groups create instances across those multiple zones in a region, so your application can still run in case of any zonal outage, right? And Symbol Superstore's supply chain management app is made of resources implemented close to their headquarters in Minneapolis. So it is architected using compute engine. Now here also we can think of applying or using managed instance group to let the application scale automatically and remain available across any sort of zonal outage, right? And Symbol Superstore's e-commerce app is architected using containers deployed to GKE pods. So again, as an associate cloud engineer on the e-commerce team, you might be asked to configure and monitor external connectivity as well, right? So that is where you can think of using an external HTTPS load balancer, I would say, which advertises a single global IP, provides content closer to your end user, and forwards content to backends that are also available globally, right? And Symbol Superstore Transportation Management app, the last one, uses cloud functions to monitor incoming sensors data and implements a cloud data flow pipeline that uses, I would say, a sync to write the data to big table. Right? So it's a transformation process that cloud data flow does over there. Now, as an associate cloud engineer, it is very common to provide information about the source and sinks required by a pipeline to the data engineer responsible for developing it. Right. So you also need to know how to monitor your incoming data stream and manage your cloud function instances. So what can we do? You can use BigQuery SQL to query your big table data by defining a permanent external table using this cloud, either Cloud Console, or maybe you can use BQ command as well. This allows you to leverage BigQuery's powerful analytical capabilities. And if you're familiar with SQL syntax, you can use big table without just migrating that entire data to BigQuery. You just use those query and you can able to do as per your requirement, right? So options are there. We have the tools. So being an associate cloud engineer, you need to understand those tools and find out the specific requirement to apply different services, different tools on those requirements, right? So that is about Symbol Superstore 10 now. Okay, so let me now move to the next part, that is some discussion, a bit overview on the different data services that we have, right? So we have already discussed GCS, we have already discussed Cloud SQL maybe a couple of weeks back. Today I'll start with discussing on file store. So guys, file store is a managed NFS solution. It is not a database. That option, right? So in file store, if you have an instance, it will get you or it will give you definitely a single IP address, a file store name, and you can attach it to your VM and just you can use it in any read write mode. That's it. At max, that is what we want from exam perspective for this particular service. Now, there is another one called Firestore. But remember, it is not file store, it is Firestore. It is a serverless, fully managed, NoSQL document database, right? And it can able to scale from zero to global scale without any sort of configuration or downtime. We need to sometimes know exactly those ideal use cases for Firestore as well as which are not the perfect use case for Firestore. So that means we need to know the ideal and the non-ideal use cases. So if we are planning to use some OLTP database, or we need to find some database which need ACID transaction, or if we need to apply some analytical processing on top of some OLTP system, again, in those situations, definitely Firestore is not the good idea to use, right? So again, from exam perspective, whenever you got some question regarding finding a particular storage services, try to go through those ideal use case. It will help. Okay. And also you can use two different modes there. That means you can use the earlier mode, that is the data store mode, or the newer one, that is our faster mode or the native. Right. Now, the main advantage of using this native mode is that it supports offline data persistence. What is this? It means that you can cache some Firestore data in your app, so your app can access the data when the device is offline. So this specifically uses when you are designing an application that needs to work properly, even if you are offline. Maybe you are traveling to a flight, or maybe sometimes you are in underground. Then also, if you need your application to work properly, think of using this native mode first. Okay. Now, somehow we are able to differentiate between Firestore and FileStore. There is one more service with very similar name, but totally different activity altogether. That is Firebase, right? Now, the most important thing about Firebase is that it is a platform, not a database at all. It is not exactly a part of GCP, but somehow it is, I would say, backed by Google. It is a simple mobile and app development application, right? So nothing storage thing about this in Firebase. So if you're writing an application for mobile, you can use it for Firebase, and you can create the whole life cycle, I would say. So that means you can build it, you can have some, I would say, insights to express over there. You have some option to integrate it with other solutions, also ways to build some sort of authentication over there, etc., etc. So the whole platform allow you to build a mobile application, right? So Firebase as a platform can store Firestore underneath it. That means if you are planning to build a mobile application in Firebase, there you can have a backend storage option as Firestore. That's it. At max, that we can have, but apart from that, there is no such relationship among them. Okay, so those are, I would say, those three similar names with different application. One is a NoSQL database, another one is an NFS system, and the last one is a different altogether thing, that is a different platform that we have discussed. Right now, you don't need to know much about this one. That is this memory store. I would say it's just a managed Redis. This is used when you need to cache your data in memory, mostly to speed up the processing and to reduce the latency, right? So as an example, maybe your user is suffering from high latency because you need to go to the backend database, fetch data, and come back again. You can, what you can do is that you can do maybe a lot of things, I would say. But the easiest is to grow a memory store. At least for some action, the user need not to go back to the database every time. Rather than they can quickly fetch the data from the memory store and use them as it is already there in the memory. Okay, so that is the overall, I would say, concept of memory store. Again, don't drive into detail of memory store, at least for the exam. Okay, next one is spanner. I would say we have some idea regarding spanner a bit. Just to give a bit more on this, uh, sorted RDBMS, right? Then scalar. That means if you want more powers, Cloud Spanner can give it to you by adding nodes. That means if your workload increases or if the workload of your database increases, the size of the single node or the initial node that is Spanner is using will not increase, which is being done in traditional RDBMS. Rather, Spanner will add more nodes as it scales, I would say. Right. So definitely, this is not a usual case for RDBMS. Naturally, when you think of using RDBMS, like Cloud SQL in general, they are vertically scalable. But Cloud Spanner is definitely an exception where they are horizontally scalable. So they are holding such a unique property. Okay. And Cloud Spanner has 5 nines of availability, quite a huge one de- in depending on its global availability thing. Okay, and if I go to Spanner, let me quickly show you. And if I try to create an instance over there, let me select the maximum edition, then give an instance name, or it's already regional. We can select dual region, we can select multi-region, and if I select any one of these, go to the right side and see we have two read-write replicas in one region, two more read-write replicas in another region, and one witness replica in another region. Right. So again, such a unique, such uh, advanced concept that Cloud Spanner holds. So they really they keep quite a high-end infrastructure from relational database perspective. Okay, but on the other hand, if you don't even need a relational database or your use case is very latency sensitive, then Spanner may not be the right choice for you. Also, keep in mind that when migrating to Spanner, you need to offload most of the logic you had in database trigger or in terms of some stored procedure. Those logic should be offloaded to the application layer because Spanner doesn't support those type of logic. Okay, and lastly, remember that moving to Spanner means it is not easy to move to any other cloud provider. Why? Because Spanner is only available in GCP, right? So again, always be aware about those small concepts in the exam. So again, I'm repeating, when you find some questions, some use cases in the exam where they are giving you such requirement to find out a specific RDBMS, think of those uh, thing which can be done in Spanner, which cannot be done in Spanner, all those things, and then find out the exact solution. from those 3, 4, 5 options. Okay, great. Any queries, guys? Any question? Are you able to follow me, guys? Okay, great. Moving to the next topic then, BigQuery. Now, in BigQuery, first of all, you should have a solid understanding of BigQuery hierarchy with data sets, their physical location, and so on, right? So data set, the project data set, tables, partitions, all those concepts should be required from exam perspective. And not only that, I have seen some question about IAM as well in BigQuery. So just try to remember some roles for BigQuery. Specifically, BigQuery has a quite common theme where you have a project with your data set, and then someone who is querying your data set does it from a different project. Got it? So maybe he or she is from a different department, or maybe you shared your data set with different company, and that different company wants to query your data, and so on and so forth. This scenario is an obvious scenario that we may expect in the exam from if we get a question from IM in BigQuery, right? So this is where, guys, you need to understand that from the project you are querying your data, you need to have at least the job user role. Why? Because everything in BigQuery is usually a job. And then if you are executing a query from that project against a dataset in another project, then you also need to have some sort of privilege to see the data in that other project, right? So you might need job user in the project from where you are querying the data, and then you might get a data viewer or data owner role in other project in order to complete the entire process, right? So again, I'm telling this is a common pattern. So just try to understand this specific thing and those roles, right? Moving forward a bit, just like we talked about storage transfer service. Do we remember that thing? I'm just recapping these things. See, from outside world, if we want to take some data and put it into GCS bucket, which service can we use? The native one, that is storage transfer service. So we have storage transfer service in GCS to receive data from outside world. Similarly, in BigQuery, we have BigQuery data transfer service. See, where we can have multiple sources, right? So if we try to create a transfer, they will first ask you to select the source from those multiple options, right? So you just select anyone. I'm randomly selecting anyone. But say the destination is a data set, right? That means destination is BigQuery. So if you want to move some data anywhere outside to BigQuery, use this native one to transfer those data. That is BigQuery data transfer service. And the biggest thing is that you can make it regular. That means you may not uh, load the data just once, right? But you may need to load the data, let's say every day, maybe every hour. In such situation also, this kind of service is very useful. Okay. And when uploading data to BigQuery, regardless of how you do it, you have a default option of doing it in batches, right? And this thing doesn't cost you anything for the transfer. Definitely storage has a cost, query execution has a cost, but transfer doesn't have any cost for batch data. But if you are doing some streaming uploads, those real-time data coming from some IoT sensors, say, right, there you need to incur some additional cost for transfer along with those storage and query processing. Okay. Now, BigQuery also allows you to share data very easily to others. Suppose your partners want to get some insights from the data. So for that, you might need to give him the data. He may need to store it somewhere. Then your partner can able to extract any logic out of that. Right. So traditional process, but definitely it is problematic. Rather than if you have the data in BigQuery, you can say, hey, I have the data in BigQuery. Let me share that to you. Use it as you like. You will be paying as per the query. Okay. And just for that, I need to give you some privileges. That's it. So it's some sort of, I would say, collaboration of both of us that can able to find a particular solution. Okay, that is how it works. Now, just like you share data, you can also share queries as well. Maybe you have designed a very important query. It is a bit complicated as well. So you don't want that your team will invest against the similar effort to design that query. So what you can do is you can share the query to your team members. They will just use the query, they will extract the similar sort of insights and they can generate different reports. That's it. We can do this very easily in BigQuery, right? And not only that, you can also schedule queries as well. So maybe you need to run some queries every day in a specific hours because you need to submit a report to your boss every hour, maybe in a couple of times, 3 times, 4 times a day. Then you just schedule your queries. It will generate report in, I would say, in a specific time and interval with every recurrence. You need not to create some sort of scheduling job for that or any concept-based scheduling process to do the task. Simply use BigQuery schedule. That works. And as soon as your data is retrieved from BigQuery, as you execute maybe some select query, I would say, BigQuery automatically caches those data. So if I execute a select query, the data extracted based on that query is cached in BigQuery. So if you execute similar query on similar data set without any change, then you won't be charged again in next 24 hours, right? Because they're already being cached. So this somehow we can call it as a speed and cost optimization technique within BigQuery. Okay. Oh, one more thing, very important. This expiration part of BigQuery. Let's say I have a data, but the data size is very huge, but I need this data for the next, I would say 50 days, 60 days, 70 days, not more than that. So because if I keep the data beyond that limit, it will not work for me as well as it will just incur some extra storage cost. So what I can do, first thing, I can set some reminder for me, or rather I can write somewhere like I need to delete those data after 60 days or 80 days. Or else what I can do is I can use this option in BigQuery, this expiration option. So whenever I'm creating this data set, if I put an expiration time of 60 days, 70 days as per my requirement, and just I forget about deleting the thing, BigQuery will remember, and after that particular timeline, BigQuery will automatically delete that data. I need not to do anything on that. But before deletion, whatever process I want to do, whatever query I want to execute, it can be done easily, right? So the deletion thing, the expiration thing is managed by BigQuery from for me, from my end. Okay, so that is the concept of expiration part in BigQuery. And finally, two more concepts over here. One is table partitioning, another is table clustering. So first, cover partitioning, which basically lets you automatically partition BigQuery tables by some time and integer value. That is most important in case of partition, guys. We can't do partition with any other parameter apart from a timestamp or any integer value, right? So it's super useful since BigQuery is a data warehouse which usually only accepts data as it flows in, and we can do some query on top of it. So if the data is coming can be partitioned automatically, then we did not to execute the query each and every time with the entire data set, right? It is not a best practice. It will incur extra cost as well as it will consume huge amount of time. Rather, if we can able to partition the entire data with small chunks, definitely it will help me to use those cost and optimization process very easily, right? So again, it's very important on that partitioning thing. And when you create a cluster table in BigQuery, the table data is automatically organized. Organized by what? Organized based on the content of any, I would say, any one or more columns in the table schema, right? So that is some sorted order, I would say. They will do it in a sorted order for one or two columns. That is what clustering is all about. Now, when to use clustering, when to use partitioning, can we use both of them together? I have given you some use cases to just go through it. We have a bit more idea on when to use which one. I'm giving an example over here as well. See, this is an not cluster or non-partition table. Then I do some clustering, and this clustering is based on country, right? See, it is being sorted based on country. Now, when I do partitioning, it is chunked, it is grouped based on this timestamp. Okay, so this is how this partitioning and clustering works in BigQuery. But both are cost and I would say time optimization technique that BigQuery use. Okay, couple of things about Bigtable, not much. See, from for the exam, I would say whenever we find some keywords like key value pairs, white columnar table, time series data set, those things are related to specifically big table, right? So whenever you find such type of keywords in questions, try to find out where is the option big table there. Okay, and can we use big table for analysis? This question may comes in our mind sometimes. See, in majority of the cases, we should be using BigQuery for doing analysis until unless our workload is very read-write intensive and we are really caring about the latency. We need a very low latency, right? And somehow we need to make the decision in real time, or I would say near real time. Those very specific cases, those very specific situations where we should be using big table for analysis. Apart from that, again, I'm repeating, in majority of the cases, we should be thinking about using big query for doing some analysis. Okay, great. I think that's it about all the services that I want to just give you the idea. So, guys, till now we have gone through, if I'm not wrong, around 7 to 8 different storage options. Now, when it comes to comparing those things, when it comes to like exactly are what are the properties, how they works, what are they ideal for. Now, guys, what I've done is I've compiled those services in a single site one by one, like cloud storage, data store, file store, maybe big table, all those things. And I put those slides one by one over here to give you a summary of all the inter services that I've discussed. Okay. Not only that, I've created those different decision trees, also different flowcharts to find out the exact data storage option based on the given criteria in a question or in a requirement or in a use case, right? So let's, for example, if you have a requirement is a structured database having some transactional load and you are willing to use SQL, but you are planning to have regional scalability or local scalability, then use Cloud SQL. So see, step by step, if you follow this particular decision, you'll be finding out that exact option or the data service that we are intended based on the use case that we have, right? So try to follow these different slides. It's not only a single decision tree or flowchart. I've given you a bit more tables, some more flowcharts to have more idea on selecting a particular storage options, right? So go through these things very carefully. It is very, very important. The deck will be shared with you immediately after the session. So don't worry. Now, these are some optional material. I would say, though I termed it as optional, but they are not optional. I would say go through those links, go through those topics whenever you get time. This will give you more understanding on a single topic. Okay, so try to cover this as well. Now, I am planning to invest the remaining time with the diagnostic question. Before that, guys, any question, any doubt, any queries for me? Mm-hmm. So silent, guys. Till now, all good. Not getting any response. All of us. Okay, great. Good. Then let's quickly move to our first diagnostic question. This one. Yes. Okay. Option A. Fine. Now, guys, what is a snapshot? This question is related to a snapshot. So, can I ask you backup of PM? Okay. A great backup of something like DB backup, metadata for a machine, image of a VM. Okay. So in general, the word snapshot refers to a point in time copy or representation of something, right? That is snapshot. It may be a copy of a backup of a VM that someone tell me that maybe a image of a VM or a image of a database or persistent disk or all those things. So it is in general a point in time copy. So we are capturing a moment of a particular instance. Perfect. That is a snapshot. Now, this question is not directly related to a snapshot, but they are asking that we want to view a description of the available snapshots. That means what are the snapshots are available right now? I want to view those snapshots. What should be the command? So they are majorly focusing on the commands, not the exact concept of snapshot. That is what I mean to say. Option B and previously A. Okay. Now, again, I'm giving you a tricks, guys. Whenever we try to write a gcloud command, because this is a gcloud command, starting with gcloud for all the four options, it's a gcloud command. So when we try to define or I would say write a gcloud command, it will definitely start with the gcloud as a keyword, then or rather followed by group, then subgroup, then verb or the activity, I would say. Right. So this is the format: gcloud, group, subgroup, and the activity. Now, which of these four options follows this pattern? It is option A or C that it follows, because B, gcloud snapshot list, it's missing the group, and option D somehow they I would say reverse the entire thing. Compute, then list and snapshots are reversed. So definitely it should be within A and C exactly. But the available commands for snapshots are list, describe, and delete. There is no such option called get in snapshot. Got it? Again, I'm repeating. The available commands for snapshots are list, describe, and delete. So option C, we have get, which is not at all an available option. So it would be option A, gcloud compute snapshots list. Okay. So this command will show you what are the snapshots available right now. Why it is compute? Specifically, it is for a VM. So they are giving this type of command to execute. I would like to know, do I need to know those CLI commands when preparing as will CLI commands? Good question. See, they will not directly ask you to write a CLI command. Rather, they will give you such type of question that I'm just giving. That means similar type of commands with some changes to find out the exact commands. So so the first answer would be you may expect couple of questions with commands, but not the thing that you practice in the lab, right? You need to write some command, some detailed command to do some activities. No, they will judge your knowledge based on this type of questions that I just shown you over here. Okay, so Now, you can ask me, how do I prepare myself? Do I need to learn all those commands? Guys, I'm not telling you to learn the entire commands that you are using, but at least you should know the common commands like this one, like this type of commands. Gcloud commands, some kubectl commands, those are very common. Okay. And so I would say, or rather, I would recommend you to, whenever you are performing some commands, some CLI activities in the lab, try to write down those commands somewhere else. Copy those commands so that before the exam, or maybe a couple of days before the exam, you just you can able to go through all those commands so that you have the overall idea about the concept of the commands. Again, I'm repeating, you need not to mug up, you need not to remember the entire commands, but somehow at least you should have an idea about those commands, what the purpose of using those commands, right? But in the question, it's not mentioned about compute. Why? In the questions, they are not mentioning the mentioning about compute. Then why is command? It is compute. I'm not getting in the questions. Let me see the question. How to get a description of available snapshots? Yes, it always it gives you the idea that definitely it should be compute one. I'm not getting you what you're telling, but means if it is not mentioned that what where it should be, somehow look, if I'm not getting your question, it can be a DB snapshot if this is mentioned over here. Okay, but in majority of the options, it is giving you compute. Acha, you are on that note. Okay, I got you. I got you. So if it is not specifically mentioned over here as DB, but see in the sometimes we need to decide something based on the options as well. In the options, they are mentioning compute. So definitely they are thinking of using compute. You can tell me that why not option B? Because option B is not defining any group at all. So we are not considering option B, but the remaining options is compute. So we can assure that definitely they are thinking of using compute images. So definitely we are thinking of using compute snapshots. That is right. Gcloud should be four parameter definitely for this type of activities. It should be four parameters: group, subgroup, and activity. Definitely, yes. Done. Any other queries, guys? Good. Next one then. This is related to snapshot concept more. I need the explanation as well, guys. Why is option C? Why should be C? Agreed, it should be C. But why you are selecting option C? schedule will hold the deletion. Okay. But Chandan, can we be more specific if I ask you why they want to hold the deletion while scheduling a snapshot? See, there may be lots of reasons, as I'm saying over here. Definitely, there may be lots of reasons, a number of reasons why they are holding the deletion. Very perfect. Now, what exactly technically they do is that, let me first find out the answer I'm giving you. Yes, option C is the right one. Now, they, whenever they schedule a snapshot, what they does, they use the retention policy. They attach a retention policy. Let's say I'm scheduling for 10 hours. So say they put a retention policy of 10 hours so that no one can able to delete that thing. And why? Definitely you give me a couple of reasons as well. So those are the different reasons. Maybe there should have some dependency among those different snapshots, depending dependency among someone is utilizing that thing somewhere, someone is at that time taking some backups. uh, lots of things may happen, but they are that's why they are holding the deletion by using a retention policy. So if you want to delete that thing, you need to first detach the snapshot schedule and then you can do that. Clear? It is clear, guys, to all of us. Any confusion on this question? Perfect. Next one. A, B. What about others? A, B, D, E, B, D, health check a number of instance. That means A, B. Okay. Mm-hmm. We need to select two option. So A is a single one. What about the other? A, D. Okay. Now, guys, let me ask you a question. What is the difference between managed instance group and instance template? Tell me. Hmm. So, what is the difference between MIG and instance template? If we can able to understand this thing, then the question is very easy. Somebody is telling, Abhishek is telling instance template did the remaining part. Okay, that's it. But what is instance template? MIG takes care of have constant number of instances. This is maybe one task of MIG. Instance template, choose what OS, what disk, what machine type, but MIG choose how many types of particular instance should be created. Yes. So what should be the blueprint for a configuration of a VM would be is being decided by the instance template. So instance template is like a class in OPS, right? In object-oriented programming concept, like class, the concept of class is similar to this instance template, where we define the entire structure of a virtual machine, right? What should be the size of the persistent disk, what should be the machine type, what should be the operating system, whether we are using a public image or a custom image, whatever, what should be the network configuration. That means instance template gives you the overall structure or define the overall structure of a virtual machine, and based on that structure, MIG managed instance group manages that and creates and manages those virtual machines, right? So configuration part is not an option for MIG configuration of VM specifically. That is being taken care by the instance template. Now a managed instance group can able to manage those instances. They can define health checks. They can provide the number of instance should be up and running at a particular moment, or if an instance fails, then he will take care, or it will create another one more instance to replace the older one, the unhealthy instance, right? So it will remove the unhealthier one, add a healthy instance. So those activities are being managed by managed instance group. So the first two definitely is a part of MIG, but the remaining three, that is C, D, E, are part of instance template. Got it? So the answer should be A and B. Done. A, C, D, E done by template. No, allow template. A is done by MIG, not template. C, D, E is definitely done by instance template. Okay, great. Next one. It is easy, easy. I've already discussed this thing. Yes. Uh, Not B, Chandan. B is smallest deployment unit. We have already discussed what is the smallest deployment unit. But here we are asking about exposing that application to some endpoints. And for Kubernetes, the endpoints is a service. For GK is a load balancer, but for Kubernetes is a service. That is option C. Yes, excellent. Next one. Oh my God. Great. So what do we mean by declarative way? Maybe whatever it's to initialize and or update a Kubernetes object or whatever activities. But declarative way means do we have replace and run? I'm coming on this. But let's just define declarative way. What is declarative way? Declarative means define what we want. Yes, imperative means define how do we do it. Perfect. Great. Now, if I use run, that creates a Kubernetes object definitely, but it creates in an imperative way using some arguments you specify in the command line. kubectl replace downloads the current copy of the spec and lets you change it. But again, those things is done through some imperative way similar to create as well. But this apply creates and updates Kubernetes object in a declarative way from the manifest files that you are giving, like someone is telling yes, passing some YAML file, so on and so forth. Okay, so definitely this is the only declarative way to initialize and update Kubernetes object. So look, we have replace and run, but those are imperative way of defining something. Got it? Okay, next one. TB. Okay, okay. Just one thing. See option D, set concurrency setting. Guys, concurrency is like how many users can connect to a particular instance. Again, I'm repeating, concurrency means how many users can able to connect to a particular instance. It does not directly affect the connection to backend services, which is the exact requirement for this question. So I can eliminate option D. Now select among those three. Again, CPU utilization has no direct affection or effect, or rather we say effect on number of connection to these backend services. Read the question carefully. They are thinking of something that can able to affect the backend service connection, where concurrency settings and CPU utilization doesn't have any sort of role. Now we are getting, yes, Cloud Run spins up container instance. Great, mean. So see, each Cloud Runs instance that starts up will typically open one or more connection to your database, right? So by setting the max instance limit, you put an upper bound on the total number of Cloud Run instances that can exist at any given point of time. And since the total number of database connection is, I would say, function of the number of instances and the number of connection each instance opens, limiting the number of instance definitely, it is effectively limit the total number of connections originating from your Cloud Run service to the database, right? So that is the trick. That's why option B here is the right answer. And if you like think of limiting scaling down to zero, that if there is no workload, then also I need to at least one instance should be up and running. At that situation, you can think of using min instance. Okay, that's the purpose of using min. But as per the requirement, definitely option B is the right answer. Perfect. Any question, any query on these guys? Okay. Yeah, let me do one more. We need to select two options. Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. Let me go to the console and try to set similar sort of life cycle policy. So I want to add a rule. I click on add a rule. Then what they are asking that you want to implement a life cycle rule that changes your storage type from standard to nearline. So set storage class to nearline. That should be an action. After a specific date, and the action is moving that to nearline, but the condition is the store class matches standard. That is the first condition. So it will move from standard to nearline. Done, first thing. And the next one is, let me now come back to the question for you guys. So I have selected option C, match storage class. Now, what would be the next one? Say, is life is different thing altogether, because whether the this object you are looking for is live or not, or what those things. That means it's a binary value, I would say. Is live doesn't matches. Similar to number of newer version, again is based on object versioning, which is not at all a condition as per our requirement. So I can eliminate D and E. I've selected C. Now it's between A and B. Now, if I come back to the console, if I select age, they are asking us to put some days, say in age, but the question asks to put some date. So it shouldn't be age, it should be created before. See, here I can put some date. Let's say it's created before this particular date. So now the condition is fulfilled if some object is created before this particular date and the storage class matches the standard one, then definitely it will move to nearline. So if I set this thing and click on create, my lifecycle policy is set to be active based on the condition. Right. So if I come back over here, now I think we got the answer. It should be B and C. So first we select the storage type, from which storage type I need to convert to another storage type. That has been done, and after a specific date, that is created before. Now if they define after 30 days, 40 days, number of days, then we can select age. But as they are defining date, I need to see created before. Got it? It's B and C, no D. D is different altogether, Anand. Is life is like whether or not an object you are looking is at the last version. That means the object is there or no. It's nothing. It's a binary value. Is life or no? But no dates defined over there. So option D, no. Guys, is it clear? This question a bit tricky, but from exam point of view, we may expect such type of questions. Okay. Oh, great. I think we are already covered the time as well. So guys, yeah, let me quickly wrap up this thing. I have a couple of questions left as well for you to complete in the diagnostic part, similar to the quiz thing that we have discussed. Go through those questions. Let me know if you have any queries on those questions. Maybe I'll not be there in the next session, but definitely Minu will be there, and Minu will like answer your queries over there. And in between, you can share your question in the online community as well. Right? Metallica, thank you. Thank you for joining, guys. Okay. Happy learning. Take care. Yes, Sonat. Are you there, Sonat?
Yes, thank you so much,
Yeah.
Supratim.
Yes.
Thank you. That was a great session. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. If you have any questions, you can drop me an email. I would answer you over there, or you can post your question on the group as well. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining.